So ransomware, it's a software where it will encrypt and lock all your files. So encrypt means, let's say you have like a Word document, and if you open that document, you're gonna see a language that you don't understand. So all your content will be gone. So that's part of, to explain simply what encryption is, okay? So you need a key to retrieve that to its original form. So the ransomware will encrypt and log all your files, so you cannot work eventually. The software will also see what other connected PCs you have on your network or shared folders and drives with others. So it will access those as well and will lock those again. There are different combinations of ransomware. That was the first generation, let's say, of ransomware, where you open your PC, you see a prompt saying your files are locked, go here, enter this key, go to the dark web and pay us in cryptos like Bitcoin, for example. So that was the old model. Now hackers go a step further. Now the last few years actually, they will gain access on your machine, they will take out all your data, and then they will lock the data. So in the past, they were asking you to pay to give you the key to unlock it. And now they ask more so as not to release your private data, your confidential data to the rest of the world and expose you to penalties, fines, to your clients, etc. So it's even worse. And we've seen that in different cases in Cyprus as well, that we assist the clients with our incident response. Email.
Give some examples of how could they sneak in?
Usually it's through phishing email, malicious email, maybe a malicious attachment, or click a link and that link would download the malicious software on your PC.
Welcome to the Financial Frontiers podcast. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell icon to get notified when we upload new content. Follow us on Spotify and give us a 5-star rating. It will help the channel, which I hope you love so much. All right, here we are, another episode of Financial Frontiers podcast. Today, my guest is Christos Makedonas, partner in Grant Thornton, which is not a big four, but a really big, let's call it corporate services company, heading up cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. And also you have your own startup, which is not a startup. I think it's already 7 years in.
Yeah, 7 years, yeah.
Remind me the name?
It's called Enactia.
Enactia, founder of Enactia, which is also related to cybersecurity, offers some tool for cybersecurity in the cybersecurity space. Yep. So our conversation today is going to be, as the audience has already figured, related to cybersecurity. Let's get into some conversations over here, get some insight on the importance, how it's changing the landscape. I think AI naturally is going to be part of a topic of discussion.
Yeah, of course.
So let's start with you, please. Christos, thank you for your time over here. Introduce yourself. Yeah. Let's go as far back as you want, and we'll work up a conversation over here, and hopefully I'm sure we'll give some value to the audience. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for the invitation. Very nice to be here today with you and to discuss whatever topic you would like to discuss in the field that I'm considered expert, I guess. I've been with the Grant Thornton almost 7 years now, and at the same time, I have my own. I'm a co-founder in Enactia, which is a governance, risk, and compliance solution focused mainly on cybersecurity, data protection. So I've been in the field almost 20 years now in information security, cybersecurity. So I have the opportunity to work with large organizations, mainly in Cyprus, but I have a lot of experience of working abroad because I was leading many projects in different countries, mostly in Europe. That's my professional background. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you like to go even back.
Whatever you want. You did mention before you recognized the make of this microphone, and you told me before we started that you also sing.
Correct. Well, actually, I was between two crossroads, whether I would proceed with music or with a degree, let's say. Obviously, my parents influenced me to go with a degree, even though I had the passion in music. So going back to high school, I was singing in a band, and then during my military service, and when I was a university student, I was constantly doing different gigs, and it was also my pocket money. And I still continue to do that, not for the pocket money, but to have fun, mostly. Yeah. So I did my studies in the UK, the University of Plymouth, in computer science, and then I proceeded with my master's in London School of Economics, where I did my MSc in information systems in general, but with focus in cybersecurity. When back then it was information security. Then I came back to Cyprus, and then eventually did different professional qualifications in the field during my career.
Yeah, I mean, there are loads of different on the spot, let's call it, qualifications that exist. And, cybersecurity, when you talk about cybersecurity, is such a broad term. But I think maybe that is a good question over here to ask is, could you break down maybe what is cybersecurity, generally speaking? Because I'm from an IT background as well. Right? I never focused on cybersecurity, and I guess my perspective is a bit more informed, I guess, than the general person. But maybe close to somebody who has no idea, no experience in technology, and it can touch on so many things. So cybersecurity, obviously, protecting yourself on any digital device.
Correct.
So it's obviously changed to what it was before the internet. I guess there must have been some form of cybersecurity before the internet.
It was mainly physical security and hard copy documents security back then. Yeah.
And obviously it has evolved to having a whole other sector to it with, I think what most people would think of, and this is the general thing, is when somebody says cybersecurity is protect me from hackers, right? But it goes a lot deeper than that, I think. Yeah, hackers for sure. There are bad people trying to get in, but break it down. I mean, describe it to somebody who has no clue. Let's call it. Pretend I'm a 10-year-old, and you want to explain to me what is cybersecurity.
Well, cybersecurity, if I try to simplify, it's all about what actions you take to protect information. Information could be about yourself, about your family, about your friends, and of course about clients. If we're talking in the corporate world, this is what information security is about, or cybersecurity. Well, there was a shift from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, we are talking about information security, and then it was a trend to talk about cybersecurity. But again, now, reading different papers and academic papers, there's a shift again to the concept of information security. Because this is what you protect. Data, where you are, it's like a puzzle. So obviously, scattered data, unified data, you end up with unifying data, you end up with information useful about your strategy, information about how you're going to approach your clients or what clients you have, confidential information. So we're talking about classified information after that. So when we're talking about cybersecurity, it's about the methods, the techniques, solutions that you apply in your environment, even from your kids when they are holding a mobile device. Your 10-year-old or 12-year-old. I see kids holding mobile phones, even more junior as years go by. How you protect that device, and then obviously it becomes more complex if you're talking about your house and then the corporate world, and depending on the size of the company. And I agree with you. Nowadays, cybersecurity it's very broad, because if I try to explain that in different pillars, cybersecurity falls, for example, in hacking. So how you protect your information from hackers. And if we link that to advisory services, we're talking about hacking services. So we try to hack our clients first to identify the weaknesses, and the client will be able to take mitigating measures to protect their information and resolve those weaknesses.
Ethical hacking.
Ethical hacking, exactly.
There's even a degree, or not a degree, there's a course on it. So
there are a lot of courses.
Training.
There are a lot of courses, a lot of trainings, a lot of professional qualifications. Some are more broad, some more specialized, because as you know, everyone knows that the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know. So it's a big topic. So I can drill down on that later, but just to give you an idea, so we're talking about hacking. We're talking about now data protection. I mean, with the introduction of GDPR 7 years ago, it created a whole new industry, both for professionals, new job opportunities, new titles in the environment, like data protection officer, for example, or data privacy analyst, and many other fancy names for data protection. And again, if you drill down to technical roles or more business roles in regarding to data protection, and we have a lot of other regulatory matters in cybersecurity. We see now, especially with the European Union, there are lots of laws and regulations, directives rolled out to introduce measures how businesses or what business should do to protect information. So we have the hacking, governance, risk and compliance, which is the whole certifications that companies should have in place to demonstrate that, look, we have good measures, trust our services and become our clients eventually. And data protection. There's another category, and it's under cybersecurity, which is mostly on cybercrime and investigations. So we're talking about computer forensics, incident response, helping clients to address incidents if a hacker is in their network, if they had stolen data exfiltrated from their environment. So that's a kind of high level of how cybersecurity can split in different pillars.
Sure. And I'm gonna veer off in a little bit of a different direction over here, because we are Financial Frontiers and the topic is about finance, and we've got different audiences that are viewing this for their own sake, and I'm sure someone who's viewing this might be thinking, okay, in their professional career, I might want to get involved in this, and I'm willing to do what it takes. I'll go and study, and I'll go. I want to get in. So, let's take Cyprus as an example, and let's talk about what the status is today in terms of salary, right? So, you obviously I actually read an article last week. The average salary has gone in Cyprus to €2,800 a month. That's average salary. And so in comparison to that, as a benchmark, obviously, different countries, the US, maybe higher, UK, what would the salary be for someone over here who has gained, let's say, 3 years of experience and is considered 3 to 5 years experience and is considered somebody who is, who knows the field?
I think it would be what you have said.
2.8, something there?
Yes. So, yeah.
That's the average salary.
Around.
Okay.
I guess after 3 years or 4 years maximum of experience, I guess that would be. Of course, it depends, again, with what I've described previously on the pillars. So, for example, there are a lot of studies, for example, from ISACA, which is the International Association of Information Systems Professionals, audit professionals, and not only audit, security experts in general. There's a huge demand on cybersecurity professionals, not only in Cyprus, but obviously in the whole world. And I think it depends on which area you are looking to hire people. For example, the hacking services are more, the audience or the candidates you're going to find are much less. So obviously there's a competition there. So the salaries could be higher in that specific industry or specific service offering.
Yeah.
Whereas in other areas could be less. So it depends. The salary varies between the expertise as well, not only the experience, but the type of background you have.
That 100% makes sense. But I also think that this as a profession is going to change, because we talk about cybersecurity and the way the world is today, our digital identity is becoming so sensitive. I mean, it is a part of everyone's life, right? Everybody has this mobile device is an extension of yourself. If that gets compromised, it's almost as if you've been kidnapped, in terms of,
definitely.
So if you think of, there are people that kidnap and stay away, and what do you do, to protect your children from getting kidnapped? Well, keep them close to you, make sure that they don't go in dangerous areas. That's easy to understand. This digital device is connected to you. You mentioned ages 10, 12 with kids. You actually nailed on the head what my kids' ages are today. They're turning now 11 and 13. Nice. But they have mobile devices 100%. I don't think. Well, I don't know. I don't think they know. Definitely, I haven't, and as a parent now, I'm criticizing myself. I haven't done a good job. I know I haven't to tell them. Well, obviously, I've told them, careful, don't just click on anything or whatever it is. But in terms of a profession, I think what becomes a real profession in the next 5-10 years, because it's already happened now, and it's just going to get stronger. Yeah. The education towards parents and more the retail, that is going, because what we've touched on our discussion so far is mainly corporate services.
Correct. Yeah.
Protecting clients' data, protecting, the company's things. But on the personal level, it is super important.
Definitely. In fact, I was a panelist to an event a week ago, and it was about that. So I remember saying the kids might know more of the parents. On average, I mean, let's say in Cyprus, so we need to educate parents first. Definitely, kids should be trained. I try to visit different schools throughout the year as well. I mean, on a personal level, but also as a CSR from the organization, to educate young children. I mean, my son is 10 years old, so I also visited his class, for example, to talk about, and I tried to see what my son is doing. So I talk about Snapchat and maybe Instagram. Or they're not using much Instagram, but they will be using it in a year or so, or 2 years. So each age is using different applications.
TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. So I tried to explain the risks, why you should not post something, why you should post something, and how to respect your identity and respect others. That's, and I try to parallelize that. That it's like, what is bullying at the personal level, physical level, and what is cyberbullying, and what the magnitude and the impact will be versus the physical one. Yeah, I mean the real life one, not physical.
Yes. Which, make no mistake, that is amplifiable. It's maybe worse.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, because when there's cyberbullying, it's shame, embarrassing, and the social aspect of it is it's stressful.
And also it's a bit scary. Is listening to young children. I have 2,000 friends. I mean, even without internet, your friends were the kids of your neighborhood.
Yeah,
I mean,
10, 20 school, people, 30
exactly.
people. Yeah.
And they consider them as friends.
Yes.
So that's even scary.
Yes.
At least this is what I try to pass on to my kids, of course, to have some restriction in terms of screen time, because there's also physical damage, with the eyes and the neck and the addiction eventually, and the stress that will be generated. I mean, after
Yes.
constantly watching
a whole lot of other problems like
exactly.
Deteriorating focus time. So,
Yeah.
30-second reels or clips. Swipe next. Oh, that information. Swipe next, and losing the ability to stay focused on one topic.
Correct. Yeah. And sometimes when you go for dinner or lunch with family friends that have kids as well, I mean, at least with our friends, we kind of try to prohibit them to use mobile phones. So we might take like cards or other games and talk. I mean, don't sit on your. I understand sometimes, especially if you have very young children, it's easier at least to have a proper lunch and distract them a bit. I understand that, but I recommend to try to avoid that.
I agree. It's a shame, because you go and all these places. I mean, I'm also part of this, but I also I try to stop them from doing it, but when they start getting too loud,
I know.
It's an easy solution, but it's not good because you lose that, the touch of, we're here
be human,
in person
and be present.
Let's talk, be present.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. We're veering into a different topic here, but just to bring it back to cybersecurity. For whatever, positive and negatives come with how the world is changing in these devices. One reality is this is an extension of everyone's identity. And, now with AI and deep fakes and, access to really sensitive things, and maybe this is one that will resonate with many people, a lot of your banking, it's all on there. If you think about all the banking that you do, if that gets compromised and somebody gets in and wipes it because they were able to, what are you going to do? I mean, that's one.
Exactly.
And I guess, the term cybersecurity, whoever hasn't, I guess, put importance, it's going to come at one point or another.
Yeah, true. That's why we see now a lot of regulations now that they like cross-reference among them. I mean, especially in the financial sector.
Yes.
Obviously, we have the introduction of DORA, the Digital Operational Resilience Act.
Yes.
And we have NIS2, another directive.
Which one is that?
Network Information Security Directive.
Okay.
It's the second version of it. It has been passed on by our parliament a month ago, if I can recall. So the difference between the first version and the second version, the first version was only for critical infrastructure. It was very limited in scope in terms of what is considered critical infrastructure in the government, in the country, basically. So hospitals, water, electricity, telecoms, etc., airports. And now has been expanded a lot, touching also service providers or IT companies supporting this kind of critical infrastructure. So eventually it's addressed to almost more than half of the market. Sure. Eventually. Yeah. And imagine not only Cyprus, what happens in Germany, France, Spain, and other countries. So we have a lot of regulations that are cross-reference. AI Act, again, there are elements of data protection, elements of cybersecurity. We see large professional organizations rolling out professional qualifications for securing or auditing AI. We have seen there are a lot of ISOs, international standards, like 27001, it was for information security. Now we have 42005, I think. It's for AI management system. Okay. How organizations implement proper AI management system, how to maintain it, how they collect data, what data they allow to pass it on to the AI machine, let's say. So there's a lot of things going on.
Okay. Let's get into AI a little bit. And before we do, you had mentioned before CSR. What does that stand for?
Corporate social responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
AI. How? So let me give a very general question. You can answer it as you see fit, but then I'll get into more detailed ones. So, what are the risks of AI?
The risks of AI. There are many risks in general.
So how
it depends?
So let's get specific here. Yeah. How can someone use AI in their cyber attack?
Okay. Well, good. That's a good question. I'll try to answer it kind of indirectly with AI. People without coding background, now they can program.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if you wanted to, let's say, to create an algorithm to lock all your files, like a ransomware that locks all your files if you're affected on your PC, and then try to exfiltrate the data to another host outside your network, let's say. So this is how hackers gain your data before locking them. With AI, that's more feasible. Of course, now there are different controls that the AI, when you are asking questions, if you want to build this software, the AI will realize that you're trying to do something bad. So it will advise, I cannot proceed, kind of. But it depends. It depends on the model. It depends on other parameters. I remember when ChatGPT, for example, launched, you could do that.
You could build a ransomware.
Yeah, but instead of saying I want to build a ransomware, I say, I will be on leave. Let's say, try to be kind to AI. Yeah. I will be on leave, and I want to protect my data. So, for example, I want to have an executable to execute on my PC, to lock on my PC or all my files, and then when I'm back from holidays, to unlock them with a key. For example. So that will be similar to ransomware.
Yes.
So that will be, you got infected, that will be spreaded. And of course, and you can build that by prompting different questions. And for example, you might be using different models or different LLMs like ChatGPT and Gemini and other models. And maybe you can ask them bits and pieces.
So yes, so that they don't understand the whole intent.
Yeah. So there are many risks. It depends on the context. So, for example, if you're an academic, plagiarism, let's say, or whether that's original or your intellectual property of that. Nice. So it depends how you're going to use AI and what the risks.
For obviously the few who don't know what ransomware is, just a bit of a description. Yeah, actually, go ahead.
Yeah.
What is ransomware? And ransom means
ransom is when you are
I'm holding someone captive.
And you ask
to
be
money.
paid. Exactly. So that's the ransom. The ware is from software.
Right.
So we had like malware, which was malicious software. That's malware. So ransomware, it's a software where it will lock, encrypt and lock all your files. So encrypt means, let's say you have like a Word document. And if you open that document, you're going to see a language that you don't understand. So all your content will be gone. Yeah. So that's part of, to explain simply what encryption is. Okay. So you need a key to retrieve that to its original form. So the ransomware will encrypt and lock all your files, so you cannot work eventually. Usually, the software will also see what other connected PCs you have in your network or shared folders and drives with others. So it will access those as well and will lock those again. There are different combinations of ransomware. That was the first generation, let's say, of ransomware, where you open your PC, you see a prompt saying your files are locked, go here, enter this key, go to the dark web, which we can explain later on, and pay us in cryptos, like Bitcoin, for example. So that was the old model. Now hackers go a step further. Now the last few years, actually, they will exfiltrate, they will gain access on your machine, they will take out all your data, and then they will lock the data. So in the past, they were asking you to pay to give you the key to unlock it, and now they ask more, so as not to release your private data, your confidential data to the rest of the world and expose you to penalties, fines, to your clients, etc. So it's even worse. And we've seen that in different cases in Cyprus as well, that we assist the clients with our incident response capability. So yeah, this is what ransomware is about. Yeah.
And just to bring an example on how this is in the personal world. So we just spoke about, a Word document, right?
Yeah.
Well, personally, and this might resonate with many, definitely like my wife, who's so sensitive with her ppictures, photographs, right? Memories.
Yeah.
Encrypt all now you don't have access to your pictures, and I know many people will pay a lot to get that. And here's another word of advice, and maybe I shouldn't advise, but here's the thing: if somebody's got you, don't pay. Because if you pay, it just opens up their
appetite for more.
And then they say, oh, well, this person paid. Now let me do this again. Let me not send. Let me, if their ethics are to encrypt you so that they can strong arm you into paying money, what makes you think that they will be good to release it once you've paid them?
Yeah. Well, there's a big debate on that, whether you should pay or not. There is no perfect answer. Again, it depends on the case.
Have you, as Grant Thornton, advised ever? I don't know if you can want to say this. I don't know, but
yeah, we did.
Pay it.
Yeah, because there was no other option.
Oh my.
Yeah, and actually, we did the further step where we were negotiating the terms with the hackers in the dark web, like a chat.
That's crazy.
So we offer that capability as well. So we try to negotiate and reduce the fee, asking the hackers to provide evidence that. Okay, show me what files you have. Like, show me a sample.
Yes.
Or I was negotiating a couple of years ago with a hacker, and I asked them, okay, send me a list of all the files, the names of the files that you have in your possession. Obviously, they will not send you the files because they will never send it.
Yeah.
Because so I asked them, okay, send me the list with the file names. I mean, Excel file, X document, zip file. I mean, the names. So as to make sure that you indeed have the files. So we were negotiating, and so we tried to reduce the payment terms. I mean, okay, let us pay in quarters or every month, like a monthly installment, let's say, because we don't have the money.
Yeah, and then they would say, no, then how do I know you're not going to give me the rest of the payments if I give it to you now?
Yeah.
Thinking from the hacker's perspective.
Yeah, they have a leverage because they will release it to the public.
Okay.
They can. I mean, okay, if you don't stop paying us, we're going to release everything. So they have. The thing is that there's this kind of code of honor, let's say, I guess, in the hackers, that you're going to destroy the market for the rest of the hackers if you don't obey. Let's say if you don't stick to your agreement that, okay, I got the money, I will not expose you any longer. Let's say. Because eventually no one will be paying them.
Correct.
Now, going back to the client side.
That is so interesting. That has become a revenue model that has got some morals.
Yeah.
Unethical, but
Indeed.
there's a code of conduct almost.
Also, the decision whether to pay or not, it depends on what you have stolen. If you are not operational, you cannot save your clients. You're losing, thousands or hundreds of thousands of euros per day or per hour, depending on your industry. What are you going to do? And also going through, the police is doing very good job and with Interpol, Europol, etc. But there is a bureaucratic procedure. So organizations need to consider that business. So it also depends what information you have lost. Maybe you have lost a week's job because you had controls in place to take the proper backups.
Yes.
So you can retrieve your information from your backups, let's say. And again, depending on the model of the backup, whether it's synchronous, asynchronous, mirroring, daily, whatever. So if you don't mind losing a week's job, let's say, okay, I'm not going to pay. I will have this damage to try to recover a bit, but okay, I won't pay. The thing is that with GDPR now and NIS and DORA, that you have the obligations to report an incident, etc., things are more messy.
Yes.
Because they are threatening you, okay, if you don't pay us, we're going to release that to the public,
Yes.
and you're also going to getting penalties from the regulator because you haven't informed the regulator about the breach. That's it. So it's.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Is it legal to pay them?
Technically, no.
It's not legal
because you're funding a criminal activity.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's not legal.
It's not illegal. Yeah, but there are different ways. I mean, okay, there are different. I forgot the name of that. Like you can do the trading to get the cryptocurrency and then pay to that ID of their wallet. Mm-hmm. So it's a more complex way to pay them, but there is a way to be assisted how to pay them. But obviously, I mean, it's illegal. But
yeah, but what are you going to do? You feel like, oh my God, my business.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously, the whole idea is to not be in that position. So maybe,
correct. Yeah.
How do they get in? So maybe give a bit of a consult, like some free advice. You know, that's not a good position to be in. How do you start? You know, what should people do? Obviously, you know, there's emailing with phishing, whatever. That's
the most common, actually.
Yeah.
Email.
Give some examples of how could they sneak in?
Yeah. So usually it's through phishing email, malicious email, maybe a malicious attachment, or click a link, and that link would download the malicious software on your PC. I was discussing this recently with a client and with my colleagues as well. You know, organizations try to have very strong external perimeter, which is publicly available from the internet, like the website, the portal they have, etc. Having proper firewalling and different other incident CM solutions for identifying incidents and events or preventing these events. But most of the times they forget about their internal network. So organizations lack a lot on securing the internal network, how you segment your network, or how you have proper endpoint security. So, for example, if one of them, I mean, they always, everyone says about the weakest link is the human factor. I mean, ourselves, because sometimes we act based on emotions. Maybe you feel under pressure a lot. You're doing a report for a client. You have received a lot of emails. You need to reply to emails, etc. And accidentally you click to a link that was very convincing that it was true, and you got affected. So, how you protect the end users, the endpoints, the PCs of the users? What solutions you have in place? Whether the user is still administrator on the machine, can execute and install anything, or has a restriction. What ports you close down on your network. Maybe these people work together to a joint project or to a specific function of the business. How you restrict that function only to those the related servers, let's say, or the equipment, etc. So as not to see the rest of the network. So if that part of the network is affected, you are confident that the hacker will not do what we call lateral movement. So they will not be able to proceed to other segments of your network. So even the human is the weakest link, let's say, at least you protect the rest of the network. And then we'll talk about other measures like patching. We see organizations that don't have the latest updates. A lot of security updates are missing. Of course, educating people frequently and doing drills, simulations, exercises. As you're going to do a fire drill to get out of the building, do the phishing attacks, or voice, or sending out USBs in the network. And then go to the USBs. Have you restricted the usage of USBs, let's say? So there are a lot of things.
I was going to bring that as an example, you know, the human. So somebody might be walking outside their office. They find a USB on the floor. They go, oh, cool, look how lucky I am.
Exactly.
I found a USB. They pick it up and they go and they inject it into the network. Boom.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden.
Actually, these are exercises that we do for clients as well, to try to test their network and their readiness and maturity, let's say, on their environment. So yeah, there are a lot of things that organizations consider. I usually say that cybersecurity should not be a complex thing, especially for small, medium businesses. You need to start with the basics first. So you don't need to invest a lot to get the top-notch, let's say, technologies, etc. It's all about also budget and risk acceptance and appetite. What is the risk of happening and what the impact will be? So the cost of that impact, is it a lot, or
closing my business, or is it
or investing in technology to prevent that will be cost more?
Right.
I mean again, it's about a risk appetite and how you like to proceed with securing your network.
And there isn't a perfect solution ever, because when it comes to risk, cybersecurity, and securing your infrastructure and your network, it comes with some inconveniences. This is, and I'm speaking from personal experience. So, we recently we're doing our ISO, DORA, all this stuff, and compared to how I was before with I access from my mobile, I'm out of the office quite often, and now I'm hitting blockers like, no, you can't. No, this cannot, whatever. I'm not going to mention what apps I use, obviously, for security reasons. But I mean, there's inconveniences. I mean, and there is I'll be honest. I mean, there was one that was really inconvenient for me, and I went and I made an exception just on me on this workaround, and how do you deal with that, right? With these inconveniences where, I want to be able to take a screenshot now because I need to send it to the client. But then you take the screenshot and it goes, no, not allowed.
Not allowed. Yeah. Again, it's a matter of balance and depending on what, if we're talking about a large organization, do all employees need to have the same privileges or not, or based on their role and their function? For example, if you're in marketing, you need to access, for example, YouTube, let's say, and other people access YouTube only during lunchtime, let's say. Okay, this is all for productivity as well. But this is just an example. Again, the security should be a balance. Definitely, the more complex in security and controls you have, the user friendliness goes down. So the more complex you have, as you said, you cannot take screenshots. So a lot of frustration going to the user experience and how people feel in the organization. But again, it's about educating people why we're applying these controls. It depends also the nature of the business. If you are handling, for example, very sensitive data, whether that would be healthcare or there will be top secret governmental information. So you need to have more zones that they will be more protected than others. So it depends. It depends. Of course, most of the times the weakest link are the top management that they ask these kind of exceptions. I mean, no, I want to use this. I want to use X, Y, Z. But this will be...
and they have authority, and then you have to listen.
And I will take the risk. But the risk is on the organization that you are a director, one of the directors, let's say. So usually security should come from the top. And we see that a lot the last few years. The agenda or in different boards of directors, let's say, they include cybersecurity. They include cybersecurity risks. They're concerned about regulations and compliance, like DORA, we said previously, GDPR, a lot of other regulations, Cybersecurity Act, and a lot of things. Because they realize what the impact will be to their business. So if the top management leads by example, so the employee will follow. That's not only cybersecurity, obviously, but a lot of other leadership initiatives. And
let's talk about Grant Thornton a little bit, and then your company. And I think, being in a position like Grant Thornton, where you do deal with many industries, many companies globally, not only in Cyprus. What do you see as trending, and where do you see cybersecurity? How do you see it changing in the next 5 years?
I guess I cannot predict 5 years because the technology is, it's especially now with AI, it's totally transformative in general. So we'll be handling, I guess, new risks. We need to invest in our people to learn not only about the usage of AI from the cybersecurity side, how we can consult our clients to properly set up AI and what security measures they should have in place, how we audit AI, because as I was saying previously, professional bodies, they now released AI-related certifications, whether that's from the privacy data protection perspective or cybersecurity configuration and these kind of things. But I cannot predict longer, even that 2 years. Actually,
that is 100% correct answer.
Yeah.
In 2 years, it's dynamic. It's forever changing. In 5 years, we don't even know. I agree. Let's talk about your company again.
Enactia.
And what does that tool do? You did mention that it is more compliance related, so a tool for GDPR. But get into that. Let's get into that.
Yeah. So Enactia was an idea that I had before the introduction of GDPR. I was checking the market, what's out there, and there were a few players, few leaders in the industry. So we decided to build Enactia. It's a governance, risk and compliance solution. It's addressed to security officers, data protection officers, risk officers. So it has a lot of what we call in Enactia modules within the platform. So we built this software to simplify the work of professionals, to have everything centralized, their risks, and to meet their regulatory obligations as well. So, for example, when GDPR introduced, I will take the example of privacy, which is easy. Organizations needed, for example, to have a list of what their processes are in place, how they handle personal data, to have a register of potential incidents that occur in the business, to perform risk assessments, to handle and document any potential data subject request, like me asking the company, please, I don't want to have my data anymore, please delete my data, or I want to change my data because you have wrong information about me. So these are the data subject rights. So these requirements, we translated these into functional requirements for a software. So organizations, instead of using spreadsheets, as is the perfect tool for an organization, the best software, Excel spreadsheets.
Excel is so underrated.
Etc.
What is the competing product? Quantium?
It's the Gartner's Magic Quantum. It's like a board assessing the suppliers, the global players in this industry. And they flag, this is the best player, and these are the second.
So it's
in the market based on their revenues, based on the clientele they have, etc. So basically, a small company from Cyprus is competing with companies that have 2,000 employees or more.
Love it.
So this is what we try to do. It's going well.
So when it comes to tools, you look at organizations like Microsoft. Microsoft has built in, let's call it reporting, and tells you, what you need to have implemented so that you're covered in terms of your regulation, and also GDPR. Like GDPR is a big one.
Yeah.
Is Enactia a supplementary tool to that?
Yeah, it has a lot of. So we have more than 50 frameworks in Enactia today, and this is growing. I mean, kind of by day. Now we're addressing a lot of ISO standards, DORA, NIS, EBA, ICT guidelines, some industry-specific or regional-specific regulations. Like, for example, we are expanding in the Middle East. So we have offices and our investors are from Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi. So we also researching what are the local laws there. So now we have laws for the data protection law of personal data protection law of Saudi Arabia, of Bahrain, of ADGM in Abu Dhabi, DIFC in Dubai, let's say. And not only data protection, but cybersecurity requirements for the healthcare of Abu Dhabi, cybersecurity requirements for aviation.
Right.
So we constantly research and identify those frameworks, and we incorporated these frameworks within Enactia. In terms of the controls, self-assessment templates, and everything is integrated. And we actually released AI within Enactia as well. Solution. That's a significant challenge that we see now, because if you are a company that has presence in, let's say, in Europe and Middle East, you need to follow a lot of laws and doing repeatable actions. So the work of the security professionals or risk compliance professionals, it's a nightmare, because you need to follow different regulations, and I guess with confidence, more than 50%, even 60 or 70%, there's a cross mapping between the requirements of the law, especially in the cybersecurity. So this is what we do with our AI.
So what does the AI do exactly?
So we constantly compare laws, and we don't only do mapping, we do also relevance scoring. So we have our own algorithm to do that. So if you say I'm compliant with control A from this regulation, without assessing control A of the second regulation, you will know your conformity level on the second regulation, because you have answered this one and you have proven evidence that this is my policy. So that policy, it relates also to that requirement.
That makes sense.
And then, of course, you might need to switch it a bit or tweak it a bit to address some additional requirements that framework has. So that reduces the efforts that we assessed more than 60% of the time of professionals to do, hundreds of assessments constantly and monitor the compliance level, etc.
And the output would be better. Because a human could, human error.
Yeah, it's everything consolidated in the system, and if you are being audited, you can demonstrate all information from the platform and not showing case different Excels and
screenshots,
assessments. We also do evidence management, so you can upload your evidence in file, and the evidence is cross-referenced as well.
That's cool.
So this evidence is relevant to this control. So this is which is similar. It's suggested to this control to be used for this control as well. That's a lot of.
And is it a monthly payment, ongoing, integrated, real-time updating, and monthly recurring?
It depends, but we push out updates not only on functional but also on the content. If there's a change, like in the regulation or a new ISO has been introduced, this is pushed. But some of our clients that are working to some specialized industries that we might not be aware of. They will come and ask us, guys, we have this security standard that we need to be aligned with. Can you help us to upload this in Enactia in a sense? So we do that as well.
The name Enactia, where does it come from?
That was a name that my partner, the other co-founder, Michael, thought. It's from the English word enact, which means take action or make law. So we added we Greekified it with IA at the end, so Enactia. So it's like, it's like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go into what we had mentioned before, the dark web. Let's talk about the dark web, and we've been speaking here for almost an hour, I think.
Okay.
Let's touch a little bit about the dark web. What is the dark web? And we're not advising anyone to go there, but what is this dark web that people talk about, and what are the risks there?
I'll try to explain it as an iceberg, with a model with the iceberg. So on the top of the iceberg, which the one that you can see above the sea, is the known internet. So when we go to Google and we do the search, for example, and we identify some websites, and now ChatGPT and Facebook and TikTok, everything is the known internet. Now, if you go a bit deeper, it's the area where there are like websites, portals, corporate websites that they use an address on the internet, but it's not retrieved from the search engines, let's say. Mm-hmm. So that's a corporate website. It's very restricted, or maybe on IP level, or it's not scanned through from the search engines, let's say. And then we go to the dark web, deep dark web, let's say, which are technically someone can set up a machine. You need internet connection. There are different layers that they can hide their physical address, let's say. So it's a network of those machines that are not visible and not searchable from the search engines, let's say. So in order to access the dark web, you need like a specialized tool. I will not mention the name it's well-known. People that are in technology, they will be aware of it. So you need this tool, let's say, to enter the dark web, where you can find a lot of dodgy, let's say, information, forums, websites, where you can see and find information about companies, where it's like when there's a huge data breach, let's say, either in TikTok or Facebook or LinkedIn, and people lose their username and passwords, these data are pushed in the dark web. Mm-hmm. That's the common thing. So you might find this kind of leaked credentials, confidential documents from companies, based on the ransomware example that I mentioned previously. Some cases you need to buy. There is ransomware as a service. So it's like going to a website and I will pay you to build a ransomware tailored custom for me in order for me to perform an attack. Whoa. So for example, a person without going a bit further, without knowledge of how to program ransomware, can pay us a subscription. Oh, my. And another one will build the ransomware for that person. And there are also more scary stuff like drugs, guns, child pornography, and these kind of things. Yeah. Very sad things. Yeah. So this is what's going on in the dark web in general. At Grant Thornton, we offer this service to search the dark web as a monitoring service. It could be like a once-off or monitoring throughout, on a daily basis or on a monthly basis for clients. And this is done with my colleagues in London. We identify in a case an organized attack for a company that was being organized on the dark web, and we notify the client a month before being executed. Wow. To the client. Or we might monitor leaked documents or leaked credentials. So you inform the client, we have these leaked credentials, please change your passwords if you haven't done so. Sometimes you might say, okay, these were very old, or some of this could be valid. Because as you know, a lot of us might be using the same password in different websites. Yes. And there are tools that if take Christos Makedonas email account and they have a password, they can change they can test the same username and password to Facebook, LinkedIn, and a lot of other, and the tool will come back, okay, fail, success. Mm-hmm. Because you haven't changed that password to that website, yes. Let's say. This is a high level explanation of the dark web and how it's been used by malicious actors.
It's a very good explanation. It's a very good explanation. I don't have any follow-up question. I think you nailed it perfectly. It's and we don't need to share the tools. I mean, you don't need to know how to get there. Just know that this thing exists, There's a whole world over there. The tip of the iceberg. So there's, what is the size of the iceberg? It's actually much bigger, right? What's visible, and that the search engines.
What you have said was visible. I guess it's visible maybe less than 20% over the whole internet.
Wow.
I mean, and imagine how many millions of sites we have, websites we have, and imagine what's going on
in the dark web,
behind the surface, below the surface. Yeah. So I don't need to mention the truth, but because also it's dangerous, because people might enter passwords, but they might be using that tool without knowing the danger of using it. Yes. You might be exposed as well.
Yes,
so you need to know how to navigate.
Yeah. I'm trying to find a metaphoric example, but I get it. You're walking into territory that is not governed.
Exactly.
And
that's very good.
Just be careful. If you want to do that, just know how to fend for yourself, because there's a lot of dodgy stuff happening there. And for most people, the 20% that is available, just stay there. You can do whatever you want there.
Yeah, exactly.
You that's the world we know.
Yeah, correct.
Good. Christos, I think let's move into some closing comments. This was very insightful. There's no question. Cybersecurity is a very important thing that we all need to know, not only in the corporate world, but also in our personal lives. I'd like to see some advisors that help people personally. I think that's a real thing. Get well informed, understand what cybersecurity as a professional, and help personal people. I think that is a real. That's a real path. Become an influencer and help people and parents and kids protect themselves, because we do have a digital extension of ourselves, and that needs to be protected.
Well, definitely, cybersecurity should be introduced to schools. Definitely.
Yes.
Maybe as a topic in a class, or why not educating people in young ages to know how. I mean, just a parenthesis before the close up. In Grant Thornton, we have this internship program, and for the last 2 years, we have interns, 16-year-olds that were very good in hacking.
Wow! But
that's very rare. So why not educating more people, not to do harm, but to know how to protect.
Yes.
And I always say to friends and family and clients, protect yourself, and in that way you're going to protect your family, your business. So if you are aware what are the dangers are and how you want to be treated, how your data you want to be treated, then and you'll be aware twice, and I mean, think twice when to post something on social media or when not to post something. And it's how you're being educated in life. I mean, what's wrong and what to say or not to say to other people.
Be mindful.
Exactly. And this is how you should move also when using technology.
Agreed.
This is the best advice I can say. Protect yourself, and then if you apply what you would want to apply, then that will be reflected to your business and to your family and friends.
100%. Good. Christos, let the audience know where they can find you. I guess LinkedIn.
Of course.
Let's move into closing comments, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I was happy to be here.
Right.
Thanks.